When you grab that jar of cinnamon or paprika from your kitchen, do you ever wonder what's really in there? I mean, we just trust that it's pure, right? But making sure it is, well, that's a whole other scientific story. And today, we're going to unlock some of those secrets, diving deep into one really powerful method.
So yeah, let's just ask it straight up. What's really in your paprika? Think about it. Spices travel all over the world to get to your kitchen. And along that long journey, there's a chance for other stuff to get in there. Things like contamination, or even people deliberately adding cheaper materials. So how do we know what we're getting? Who are the guardians of our spice racks?
The answer, and this might surprise you, it all comes down to one word: ash. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound very exciting. But in the world of food science, analyzing the ash is basically like running a forensics report on your food. It is the key, the absolute key, to figuring out what's really going on.
All right, so let's get into what that actually means. When we say ash here, we're not talking about what's left in a fireplace. No, this is a scientific term. It means the inorganic stuff, the minerals that are left over. Just imagine you could take a spice sample and burn it so completely that all the organic stuff, the things that give it flavor, color, and smell, is just gone. The little bit of stuff that's left behind, that's the ash. It's the spice's mineral skeleton, basically. And here's where it gets really interesting, because it turns out not all ash is created equal. You've got what you could call good ash. This is the stuff that's supposed to be there. It's the natural mineral fingerprint of the plant itself. But then you have bad ash, and that's all the junk that has no business being in your spice jar. We're talking sand, soil, stuff from sloppy harvesting, or even worse, illegal fillers that someone added on purpose just to make more money. So, to tell the good ash from the bad, scientists can't just guess. They need a rock-solid, standardized test that everyone agrees on. And that, my friends, is where the star of our show comes in: AOAC Official Method 941.12. AOAC, that's the Association of Official Analytical Chemists, and their methods are pretty much the gold standard for this stuff. Think of this method as a trial by fire for spices, designed to reveal exactly what they're made of. Okay, so the first step in this whole process is figuring out the total ash. It all starts with weighing out a super precise 2-gram sample. They put it in this special little dish, often platinum, because it can handle insane heat. Then, that dish goes into a furnace and gets blasted until all the organic bits are completely burned away. After that, the ash has to cool down in what's called a desiccator, which is just a fancy, super dry container so the ash doesn't soak up moisture from the air, before it gets weighed one last time. This number gives the scientists their first big clue: the total amount of mineral stuff in the spice, good and back. And when I say they incinerate it, I'm not kidding. That furnace gets cranked up to a blistering 550 degrees Celsius. That's over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's that intense, controlled heat that makes sure 100% that nothing but the pure mineral residue is left for them to look at. So getting that total ash number is a great start, but the real detective work happens next. They take that ash and boil it in hydrochloric acid. Now here's the clever part. All the natural minerals from the spice, they dissolve in the acid. But things like sand, silica, dirt, nope, they won't dissolve. So whatever's left over gets filtered out, burned again, and weighed. And that is the acid-insoluble ash. It's basically a direct measurement of how much grit and dirt is in the sample. And there's one more step. Part 3 involves checking the ash specifically for calcium. You might be asking, why calcium? Well, it turns out that some cheap mineral fillers, things like calcium oxide, are a common way for shady dealers to bulk up the weight of a spice to make more money. So if that calcium level is suspiciously high, that's another huge red flag that something's not right, specifically that it's been tampered with to cheat the buyer. So, after all that weighing and burning and boiling in acid, what are we left with? A bunch of numbers. And this is where the scientists put on their detective hats again and interpret the data. It's where they, as we're calling it, read the ashes and deliver the final verdict on whether that spice is the real deal. And this table here lays it all out perfectly. If the total ash number is high, that tells them there's just more mineral content than there should be, a hint that there might be some kind of unknown filler. If the acid-insoluble ash is high, well, that's a dead giveaway for things like sand and dirt. And a high calcium result? That can pinpoint a very specific kind of fraud, that someone's added mineral fillers. See? Each test gives them another, more specific piece of the puzzle. Right about now, you might be thinking, wow, that is a lot of work for a little bit of paprika. And you're right, but this isn't just some obscure lab experiment. This method, 941.12, is a massive deal. It's a cornerstone of the global food industry, and when you get why, you really start to see why these official methods are so incredibly important. I mean, it's about consumer protection, right? It makes sure that you're getting pure spice, not something cut with a bunch of dirt. It's about fair trade, protecting the honest farmers from getting pushed out by people who cheat. It's a huge piece of global food safety, giving everyone a standard to trust when food crosses borders. And maybe the most important part, it represents a scientific consensus. It means that a lab in the US and a lab in Europe can run the same test and get the same reliable results. It's a universal language of food safety.
So the next time you open up your spice rack, maybe you'll look at it a little differently. You can appreciate all the incredible science that goes into making sure it's pure. It's a pretty powerful reminder that there are these incredibly detailed, standardized methods working behind the scenes all the time just to protect our food. And it definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it? If they go to all this trouble for a pinch of spice, what else are they testing?